What is Murphy lurking around the corner, just to revenge, and is gold all of a sudden disappear? Or I don't know. So in theory, yes, it is the trade of my career. I mean, I could see that being the trade. Um, and I've had some really good ones, playing the Swiss franc when they decided to not join the European Union. Um, that was a good one. And there have been some other really good ones, but every one of the biggest trades I've ever done in my career center around exploitation, first identification of price anomalies. This is a price anomaly. And so, yeah, from a standpoint of actual numbers, yeah, it makes great sense. Big Square would scream at you, yes, do it. So, I just like people to understand that nothing is a guarantee. But in terms of a calculated speculation, it's the best I've seen in 34, almost 35 years in finance.
Did you know that silver is currently trading at an 85-1 ratio to gold? According to finance expert Andy Schectman, this is a massive price anomaly, one that could signal the opportunity of a lifetime. But here's the kicker. Schectman warns that we're in the midst of a man-made reset where anything not American-made could suddenly disappear, leaving you holding assets that might be confiscated by the U.S. government. He talks about the critical importance of owning American-made coins like eagles and buffaloes, not just for their value, but for peace of mind in these uncertain times. Schectman believes silver offers the most extraordinary asymmetrical risk-reward he's seen in his 34-year career. Low downside risk with sky-high potential. But with global powers like China aggressively buying up silver, this opportunity may not last.
Yeah, so the answer is that anything that you sell, uncle's going to be there like this, give me my gold or my money. Those coins do not trigger dealer reporting requirements. They would, however, need to be reported by you, at least if you're following the law. Um, but they would not trigger dealer reporting requirements. As far as Maple Leafs are concerned, it's an interesting question. I mean, it's a fair question. Um, if you were sitting at the table with me that night, I had dinner with Jim Sinclair, and I mean, maybe it bears telling the story again, real quick. Jim, I've known, God rest his soul. Bill Holter's one of my dear friends, and I was having dinner with Jim and Bill. They were partners in Connecticut. Jim was known as Mr. Gold in the 70s, and he said to me, Andy, I'm Jewish. I said, really? Why are you telling me this, Jim? And by the way, Sinclair doesn't sound Jewish. He says, you're right. My last name is Seligman. My father was Murray Seligman. If you Google Murray, you'll see he was a famous commodity trader in Wall Street that was involved in unwinding the Hunt brothers position. He said, I went to elementary school. Catholic school was picked on for being Jewish. So when I went to middle school in another town, I changed my name to Sinclair, took my mom's maiden name. He says, but I said, okay, well, why are you telling me this? He says, well, I'm related to the Goldmans and Goldman Sachs, and they told me there would be two resets. The first one is man-made. Now, I would argue, Dunnigan, that we are in the midst of that man-made reset right now because it's just too stupid to be stupid, or as Bill would say, too stupid to not be planned. All the stuff that we see around us is just too stupid to not be stupid. I mean, it's just stupid, all the stuff we see. And he said that will fail. And when the second reset comes at the behest of Mother Nature, the U.S. government will confiscate everything that is not American made. Take it for what it's worth. I still own stuff that isn't American made, but I have traded a lot of my bars for American Eagles, and I lost a lot of silver. In terms of gold, I pretty much only and have always only owned American coins, either pre-33 or Eagles or Buffaloes, just because I've always preferred them. But there are reasons to own the American coins for sure. That would be one of them if you believe it. And I know Bill Holter believes it. And I know Jim believed it. I can't vouch for its validity. But with the legal tender laws being passed, with the performance of the U.S. Mint during the pandemic versus everything else, I would normally say, no, that's stupid. You're going to lose gold and silver. But I would honestly say to you now that I understand it, and I would contemplate it. It's not the wisest thing to do in terms of the ultimate bottom line, but sometimes there are motivations that go beyond the bottom line. So if you did it, I'd understand it. I wouldn't ever advise it openly. You know, if you had other things that weren't maple leafs, I might say, yeah, I could see it. Like, 100-ounce bars. Yeah, you're going to lose some silver, but you have a much better form that has better potential and has now 11 states that have passed legal tender laws and upwards ends of 20 that are contemplating it. And, there's something to be said for utility and versatility and an American Eagle. You put an American Eagle in someone's hand, and even though it's only 1 ounce, if they've never seen it before, they're like, man, that is cool. And, I'm sure they'd say the same thing about a 100-ounce bar, but it's not easy to buy, a pack of chewing gum with a 100-ounce bar. So, nor is it easy to buy with the Silver Eagle for that matter, to be fair. But, anyways, the point of it is that, yeah, I would contemplate it, but it would not be conventionally wise. And what you said, it's so true and so sad. I mean, we are in the age of deception and betrayal. I watched a show on the Bilderbergs and the Trilateral Commission last night. And it's very frightening where we are. And I think these are unconventional times. And that's the truth. Unconventional times call for unconventional thought and action. And it's better to, be accountable and trust your gut. And if it feels right, do it. Because these are scary times. And who's to say that, Jim wasn't right? Who's to say that your gut isn't telling you to do the right thing? It's not always, I mean, Richard Russell always said it's about the number of ounces that matters. So I do agree with that to an extent, but also the form of it is important. You can have the greatest thing in the world if it lacks liquidity. How great is it? And so, not to say that a maple leaf lacks liquidity, it's just peace of mind and sleep at night is worth everything. And if you sleep better, because I mean, I'll put it to you this way: if I had my druthers, if I had to do it all over again, I would own nothing but American made coins, period. Don't know why I even say that, just because I prefer them. And I think they are probably more desired in the United States. Um, that does not mean that anything else that you could own is bad. For the last 4 years before this last year, I told everyone, do not buy American coins. They're too expensive. Buy bars. There are times when, even the best laid plans need to be reevaluated. And this is one of those times, as was that a few years ago during the pandemic. In the end, I think gold is the place to be. Here again, we have to time this properly. Silver is by far the investment of a generation. And I don't say that lightly. There's nothing like it. And that chart should really hammer that home. These banks that are shorting this metal, not only are they sophisticated, they're informed and probably being told to do it by the West, the military industrial complex, or whoever is stupid enough to tell them to short silver to that degree, naked short in what amounts to a drive to accumulate by the biggest powers in the world. It's a very dangerous game. 85-1 is an anomaly historically, geologically. It's 11 times higher than just about than it's coming out of the ground at. It's contrived. It's enough to make China go all around the world or all through Latin America and buy unrefined silver concentrate and doré. They are beating us at our own game. Look at the drawdown in the LBMA vaults, the lowest they've had since they started keeping records. So yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, you buy silver or trade gold to silver at 85-1, and when it gets anywhere into the 40s, you switch back. And even at 42-1, which is just above its 200-year average, you're still 6-7 times higher than it's coming out of the ground at. I mean, it's one of these deals where the potential is extraordinary due to the suppression. And the old saying, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And that's been the case for a while. But in 2010, when I noticed this and called Bix Weir and said, Bix, we got to do a podcast, got to tell everyone to sell their gold right now. It was 85-1. I said, Bix, this is the second time I'm going back as far as I can see, all the way back in charts. And it's the second time it's ever happened. And so in theory, in 2010, you trade me 1 ounce of gold and get back 85 ounces of silver, of course, depending upon the form. 7 months later, knowing that 42 to 45-1 is the 200-year price average, not the geologic, but the price. Man's ratio, as Bill Holter calls it, not God's ratio, which is geologic. And within 7 months, you had 37 to 1. You had $50 silver, 1915 gold. In 7 months, you would have only needed 37 ounces to get back that 1 ounce of gold. You would have doubled plus what you started with. And it worked. It was orderly, it was smooth, it was clean. But would it be this time? What are the variables? What is Murphy lurking around the corner, just to revenge, and is gold all of a sudden disappear? Or I don't know. So in theory, yes, it is the trade of my career. I mean, I could see that being the trade. Um, and I've had some really good ones, playing the Swiss franc when they decided to not join the European Union. Um, that was a good one. And there have been some other really good ones, but every one of the biggest trades I've ever done in my career center around exploitation, first identification of price anomalies. This is a price anomaly. And so, yeah, from a standpoint of actual numbers, yeah, it makes great sense. Big Square would scream at you, yes, do it. So, I just like people to understand that nothing is a guarantee. But in terms of a calculated speculation, it's the best I've seen in 34, almost 35 years in finance. I've never seen something that silver offers something called asymmetrical risk reward, the best I've ever seen, which means it has, in my mind, the lowest downside risk and the best upside potential of anything I've ever seen. Um, in an asset that is depleting in nature and massively being accumulated by most of the world in quantities that we've never seen before. So problem here is that the price setting mechanism, the exchanges of the West mask and blur and confuse reality. And so it's hard for people to know just how good of a deal this really is, but it truly is I think, a special opportunity if pulled off right.
Thanks for sticking with us through today's deep dive into the world of gold and silver. We covered some critical points. Andy Schectman highlighted the risks of owning non-American-made assets in these uncertain times, and why he believes silver offers an unparalleled opportunity right now. We also discussed the potential for a man-made reset and the importance of holding onto American coins like eagles and buffaloes for both value and peace of mind. If today's discussion gave you something to think about, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and share your thoughts in the comments section below.